God damn, I need IPA.
This is Beering Ain't Easy, your podcast for beer humor, dad humor, and beer tastings from Texas and beyond. So crack one if you got one and turn it up.
Welcome to Beering Ain't Easy, Season 2, Episode 33, with Ryan and Drew.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan and I are back at it with a signature beer experiment. It's been a few episodes since we've done one, and Ryan, he draws up some pretty in-depth experiments to bring to our listeners. So Ryan, you want to let everyone know what you got planned today?
Well, I'll give a little backstory, and then we'll veer into what we're doing tonight. So my wife, her birthday always falls around St. Patrick's Day. So when we were, cool kids back in the day going out for her birthday, everywhere we went would inevitably have the green beer that they would serve for the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. And she is very adamant that it tastes different, and she hates it, and she won't drink green beer. Same thing is true of our kids. She got like rainbow goldfish, and she insists that the different color rainbow goldfish taste different. So she won't eat the regular, the OG ones.
I've never thought about that before, but those rainbow goldfish are trash. I agree 100%.
So we always get into this little back and forth where I insist that it doesn't actually taste different, and she claims that it does. So I think in true Beering and Easy style, I think there's only one way to settle this debate.
We gotta test it. We gotta color our beers. And I think what a better time to do this than St. Patty's Day. So we absolutely have to have some green beer today.
For sure. And it'd be boring to just taste the regular version and a dyed green version side by side. Just be like, oh yeah, they taste the same or they taste different. No, we got to make a game out of this. So Drew, do you want to try to explain to the listeners what we're doing here?
Oh my God. So I'll try to give the Cliff Notes version of what Ryan gave me. So we got two beers. We dyed them two different colors, and we completely jumbled up those two beers. So we've got four beers. Oh God, I can't even do it.
This is exactly what I was hoping for.
I give up.
All right. So we have four tasting glasses that are our samples. So we have two of them are beer A and two of them are beer B. And of those two samples, one of them's dyed green and one of them's dyed red. So overall, we have two red beers, two green beers, and they're split up evenly between our two beers that we're testing against. So our job is to taste them side by side and try to distinguish and sort them out and figure out which ones are which, and see if we can pick them all correctly.
I do have a slight curveball, Ryan. I was out of red dye. So
okay. I'm doing red and green. Drew, what are you doing?
I'm doing green and blue, which on your camera, this one looks green, but it's very blue in front of me. So I'm doing green and blue.
I mean, that's like a navy blue.
Yeah. So I have some thoughts on food coloring we'll come back to, but I think we need to let the listeners know what are the two beers we're drinking. So Ryan, maybe dig me out of this hole here.
Well, one of the ones is a friend of the show, Bad Astronaut. We're doing Cloud Punch. It's their German-style pills. Always enjoy this one, so it was very easy to decide to include this one.
Heck yeah.
Introduce the other one?
Yeah, the second one we've got is also, I'll say, one of our podcast favorite beers. It's been on a lot, and it's equal parts Loggerbier. So both of these are German-style Pilsners. Both of these get the 2 thumbs up rating from Beering Ain't Easy as great beer. So we're always looking for excuses to drink them live on air. But today we're going to drink them slightly modified, pink, reddish, greenish, whatever, blue.
And a little bit of a podcastception. When we did the Bad Astronaut episode, we were drinking Loggerbier the whole time. So this is all coming full circle, I guess. I don't know. Is this a circle? We'll call it a circle.
So I got to come back to this food coloring before I forget. So you were mentioning when you showed your beer today, you were like, wow, I just put 1 drop of food coloring and it completely transformed this to green. Well, I, on the other hand, accidentally dropped 4 drops in mine, and so it's green going on black. So,
You gotta subconsciously like detect some roasty notes because of how dark it is.
I don't know if you can see, but like the foam on mine is still like super green on the top of the head.
Bright green.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine one drop each for me makes it look like Jello when it hasn't set yet. Like that's what my red and my green look like. That's how like vibrant they are.
Yeah, and I was surprised with the blue, like with the yellow beer. I was like, oh damn, I'm gonna put blue in here and it's gonna turn green. But it's actually I did 2 drops of blue, and it's actually a nice shade of blue that I can totally tell the difference between them. I'll have to post some pictures.
Nice. So as we're trying to sort through these, we have the unmodified versions for us to taste side by side with, so that we can keep our bearings straight here. Have you sampled both of them side by side yet, Drew?
I didn't know the rules here because I didn't want to like taint my thoughts of when I drank the colored beers before I went to the source that I knew what it was. So I'm going to hold off and see how it goes.
I cheated and tried them back to back, straight out of the can, and I'm scared. They're so similar. I'm going to get exposed.
Similar style beers, both really great. I mean, I don't think this is one where we're going to score high on the guess the beer ratings.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that oak pollen's been so high this week and it's been getting me. Plus, I went and like did a bunch of yard work this morning, so like I'm all congested. So that's like further going to interfere with my my taste. Not making excuses or anything, but
yeah, that's what it sounds like is an excuse. I think the real question is like, are we going to be able to guess 2 beers of different color are the same or not? Like that's going to be the real test. Is are we going to be able to put the green and the red together?
If we mismatch them, then I think it proves that the color of the beer affects the way we taste it.
Oh, there you have it. That's our scoring system here.
Yeah. Yeah. While we're sipping, do you want to catch me up here on the little adventure that you had this past week?
Yeah, sure. So me and the fam went to Disney World, so was kind of disconnected from the beer podcast game for a little bit, living my best life in the most magical part of the world, or the most exhausting part of the world if you've got 3 kids.
Yeah, I went last February, so it's been a year since we went. But yeah, I get that. It's like we were taking naps when Lily was taking naps. It was bad.
Yeah, I didn't take naps, and every night I was thinking, man, that would be really nice if I went and grabbed a beer. And like I only did it a couple nights because I was just like bone tired. And I went down and like ordered some food downstairs, and I was waiting for my food, and I got a beer, and I was sitting there, and I felt like I was like literally nodding off while it was like 9:00, and I was waiting for some food, and they had a live music, and this guy was playing really terrible reggae, and he was playing the song by it was like the Shaggy, like It Wasn't Me, and he was like trying to interact with the crowd, and he like pointed to me because I was sitting at a table by myself, and he's like, that guy over there, he's a cheater. But I was like so freaking out of it that, he was just like trying to fuck with me or whatever, and I was so out of it, I had no idea he was talking to me, and like people were like turning around. I was like, oh dude, just go fuck off, man. I was like, been to Disney today. It wasn't me,
man. That's it. That's an interesting crowd work move in the most magical place on earth.
Yeah, it wasn't on resort property. I'll just put it that way.
I can imagine.
It is ridiculous though, like how friendly the people are that work at Disney. Like we went to Universal Studios, and not that they're like assholes over there, but like there is a complete difference between how you're treated in a Disney park versus somewhere else. It's insane. It's like they only hire people that are like, they're on Zoloft or something while they're working. I don't know.
Do you have any initial thoughts on this little tasting?
I got to say, like, there is a little bit of a mind fuck that's going on when you have colored beer in front of you, because I drink it and I'm just like, do I like this as much as I like the regular beer? I don't know. I think it does mess with your mind a little bit.
I feel like I took one sip of each of the greens and was like, boom, got this one, stored them, and I was like, this is going to be way too easy. Then I moved to the red ones, and I'm starting to question if I've messed up my pouring and accidentally poured if the red ones are the same, because I'm like, I swear they taste the exact same.
Yeah, I haven't made it through all. I was yapping, so I haven't made it through all of my color scheme here. So I'll have to catch up.
I need to go back to my controls and refresh the palette here.
If I'm not using a control, there's no chance in the world that I'm going to be able to pick out which is which.
Yeah. So for the listener, I'm holding up my sample glasses to show Drew how much it took me of one of them to figure it out versus how much it took me of the other one. The other one's like still like basically full, and the other one's almost empty. It took me that many times tasting it to try to distinguish it. So I said they tasted extremely similar. Are you able to pick out any differences?
I'll have to come back to me on that. I
think the Bad Astronaut is a little bit cleaner finished, and the Loggerbier has like this slightly just like kind of earthy lingering finish. It's actually like a nice aftertaste. I like it, but the aftertaste lingers a little bit longer than the Bad Astronaut. So that's how I'm trying to differentiate the two. But yeah, there's minimal aftertaste with both the red beers. So that's what made it so hard, is because that's where I was like zeroing in and trying to use that.
So St. Paddy's Day. So this isn't going to be a St. Paddy's Day episode, because we did one and it was so that Adam and I did a long time ago. And I talked in an Irish accent, which I'll spare the listeners today. I try to bring those in sparingly now when we're really short on content. But what are your general thoughts on St. Patrick's Day now that you're a dad? Like, did you like it before you had kids? Do you still like the holiday? Like, what are your general thoughts on it?
I never really like partook in like actual festivities. Like I would go out that weekend, but yeah, I tended to avoid the green beer, not because I thought it tasted different, but kind of like I've outed myself on the podcast with my mental fuckery, like how I don't like mushrooms because of the idea of what mushrooms are. It's kind of that way with green beer. I don't think it tastes different, but just the thought of green beer, it just like weirds me out. So I've always kind of avoided that. But I never like took off work to like go do the all day block party kind of thing or anything like that. What about you?
Yeah, I guess like I never understood it, because like, what do you do in St. Paddy's Day other than just drink? Like, I mean, I can drink anytime. But I mean, like Mardi Gras, there's usually parades. There's a whole lot with it. But like St. Paddy's Day, I never, like, what do? You make green beer and you drink and you sing pub songs, I guess. I don't know. Actually, I just convinced myself it's a great time.
I'll say, I think I've been wrong about this whole time.
So Ryan, unrelated story. I've got a question to ask you. So, when you're wearing like a pair of jeans and it's got the small pocket inside the pocket, do you know what the original purpose of that pocket was for?
Yeah, wasn't it for change?
It was actually for a pocket watch, like way back in the day.
See, I thought it was always called a coin pocket. Maybe not.
Maybe so.
Apparently not.
But have you ever looked at like a pair of slacks and they don't have a pocket inside the pocket, but they have this like stupid little slit pocket like right at the top? Have you ever noticed that on your pair of slacks?
Yeah, mine don't, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen those. Yeah. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I looked that up too, and it was like the original. That was the origin of it, and they still sew it into pants to this day. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the right purpose of that pocket. As I've gotten older and find myself taking more and more pills for different reasons, not for recreational use, but for medicinal purposes, that pocket is the absolute best pill pocket. So if you got like, need that Advil halfway through the day because you threw out your back, dancing to Frozen with your kid, that's the perfect place to put it. And I'm here to say that's the new purpose of that pocket.
It's like the most dad thing ever.
That's what I'm here for.
do, you, do, you, do you remember? I don't know. I went through a phase in like high school where I was like shopping for like all my swimsuits and like sandals and stuff at like Zoomies and like PacSun and stuff. You know, like the kind of skatery, snowboardy type places. And it was funny how much of their stuff like had like little hidden stash pockets, like in the swimsuit, like on the inside of the thigh, there was like a little Velcro, tiny little pocket. Like same thing with like sandals. There was like a zipper on the inside of the sandal, and you could like put something inside the sandal. It's like, yeah, there's like all these places to hide your stash. I just thought that was a completely random thought I had when you started talking about that. And
what stash are you referring to, Ryan?
Quarters and
yeah, quarters and dimes, right?
Yeah, quarters. Yeah, dimes.
I can't decide. Should we reveal before I go back and actually drink the ones that I know what they are? Because I've got my 2 beers paired off 2 and 2, and I'm dying to know if I got it right.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's see the results, and then we can, make our overarching assumptions about how this turns out.
All right.
All right. Since we match on the green, you want to start with green?
Yeah.
I'm 0 for 1.
You're 0 for 1. Okay.
The one that I thought was Bad Astronaut is actually equal parts. This is a bad start.
I'm thinking that this one is Bad Astronaut, and it is Loggerbier. So you and I are both 0 for 1.
Whoa.
Now when I switch over to the other one that I have paired, I'm going to see if my 2 Loggerbiers are at least the same. And they're not. I have 2 different beers in front of me.
Yeah, I got the second one right. Yeah, so I got a mismatch.
This is awesome.
That's wild.
So completely swinging a miss here, and you were even drinking it versus the standards. So that must.
I was literally holding the can and the colored beer and tasting them side by side, back to back, and comparing them. And I was positive I had it right. The green one, especially, I thought I had it right, and I was wrong.
So we both got the green wrong, but we both got the other color, blue or red, correct.
Blue and red, right?
So what does this say about green? Is green the official mindfuck color?
I mean, clearly, we no more testing needed. This is definitive. This is science, sir.
I mean, the fact that one of us will miss on a beer tasting happens all the time. It's usually me. But the fact that we both missed in the same way, there's something to be said here.
That is crazy.
We need to run a controlled study.
This was the controlled study, man. It's settled. So, I mean, I'm being loud and yelling, but what are your results? What's your takeaway from this tiny, we'll call it a mini experiment?
Well, my first takeaway is that both of these beers are great and they taste very similar. So when you're drinking a similar style beer and you're taking out anything else that, you're taking out the visual difference. There are very slight visual differences between these 2 beers when I first poured them. And I'm looking at it like Bad Astronaut's slightly darker yellow color, where Loggerbier is a little lighter. But you take that out of the equation, you have 2 beers that look exactly the same, and they look like freaking test tube bullshit sour. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I do know that green is the official mind scrambler color. So have you ever seen the movie Inside Out?
No.
Okay, so it's a Disney movie or a Pixar movie about it goes through like the different feelings, and each feeling has a color, and like anger is obviously red, and blue is like I think blue is happy. I don't remember, but I do remember specifically the disgust was the color green. So is there something here psychologically that we associate, when you show a cartoon of somebody who's sick, they're green. So, like, is the reason why green was such a screw up is because we're wired to think that green is like puke? I don't know. I'm asking this question. This is a scientific experiment here.
Well, I'm glad I already finished my green beer because that would be just stuck in the back of my head the rest of the time. Yeah, I totally thought we were just going to get these, and then I was actually really worried that it was going to be like, oh yeah, no, we can tell them apart. We got it right. Like what are we really doing here? And I thought we were going to be like, this is going to be dud content, but no. The fact that we messed, like you said, we messed it up in the exact same way. Like I can only conclude that green does affect the way you taste the beer. I will say, like I said, the red, I was getting so confused because the red tasted so similar. So I think overall colors do change the way you perceive the beer, but green apparently is more effective than other colors.
What's weird is I was even trying to taste the beers with my eyes closed. And so, like, I feel like I need to go back and do that to see, like, if you did a true blind tasting, would you get it better if you took that sense out?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. I was like trying to like buy in fully on the dyed beer thing, so I was like staring at the beer while I was drinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty surprised here, Drew. Got to be honest. Yeah, when we were kind of workshopping this idea, I had thought about like what beer style would be good, and obviously like IPAs with like if you just change the hop ratios at all, like it becomes pretty obvious the differences. So I wanted to get something light that would be harder to discern, and obviously all the green beer is like the domestic pilsners, so it seems rational to pick these light beers, right?
Yeah, I think this was a good choice, and I just did what I said I was going to do. I closed my eyes and I put the beers together, and I was at least able to match the beers together that were the same beer this time, and it was pretty spot on when I took that sense out. Now, could I have told you what the right beer was? I'm not sure, but I definitely could have gotten them paired correctly without looking at it.
I mean, to me, that's just further proof that color does affects the way you perceive it.
I will say our control study here in the actually in the glass as it should be poured, I automatically think it tastes better. I think back to the validating this experiment, it tastes better in its original state.
Yeah, I've been going out of cans, but yeah, I think I need to go get a legit drinking vessel. So I guess that's a good opportunity to circle back to that glassware experiment we did. Has that affected your habits from like on your like day-to-day beer drinking?
You mean like choosing the correct glassware for the beer?
Yeah, like do you choose glassware more often? Are you more particular about what glass you use? Anything like that?
I should be, based on our scientific experiments. But I also post on Instagram, so I tend to grab the glassware that I want to take a picture with the most. So it's usually like a Wu-Tang Clan glass or something, some shit like that. So yeah, busted.
Yeah, that's fair. At least about it. No, I definitely ever since we did that experiment, I am way more diligent about actually pouring beer into glasses and using that. Actually, I don't remember if it had, I had 2 IPA glasses and one of them broke. So I only have one. So if I like drink on like a Friday and a Saturday, typically like I'll use that like the first night and then it won't be clean yet. So I'll end up having to use like a different glass, but it hurts when I have to not use my IPA glass for an IPA now. Like I said it at the end of that episode, I turned into that guy. I'm like very particular now about my glassware at home. It changed me, and probably not in a good way.
Nice. So now that you've know what beer's what, and you're drinking the 2 beers side by side, do you have a preference between these two beers? I mean, they're very similar. They both taste great. What's your favorite?
I think the Loggerbier is a little bit more true to style, just with that like. I said it was like an earthier finish, but I think more like minerally finish is probably a better descriptor for it. And I think it's supposed to have that mineral kind of finish. But I think I enjoy the Bad Astronaut more. What about you?
Yeah, I've said it before, but Cloud Punch is like one of my new favorite Pilsners. This beer is great. Like there's something about it that like when you drink it, it makes you want to go get another one. Like it's crushable, and it's got that I don't know, that hook that brings you back in. As far as like being true to style, I'm not enough of a beer purist to know which one's more true to style. I mean, I've always loved lager beer, but yeah, I gotta give the edge to the Cloud Punch. I gotta say something. As much as I've talked up Cloud Punch, when I think about the name Cloud Punch, I gotta say that our buddies over at Bad Astronaut may have missed a golden opportunity to use the name Cloud Punch for a hazy IPA, because that would be the perfect hazy IPA name. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Because you think of those hazy IPAs being like almost like a fluffy, that super light mouthfeel. Almost like you've heard pretentious beer drinkers be like, "Oh, it feels like I'm drinking a cloud."
Yes,
so,
pillowy.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
It's our suggested rebrand.
Yeah. That's the most negative we'll ever be about Bad Astronaut.
That's fair.
All right. We have an important topic to discuss now. Do I tell my wife that she was right, or do I just take this one to the grave?
I got a word's advice for you here, Ryan. There's a lot of times when you're never going to want to say that your wife is right, but I think on something like this, you give it to her. You say, you may have been right about that green food coloring thing, and win some points off of that, and then save your denial for more serious matters.
Yeah, maybe I'll hold this one until she starts getting really irritated with me about something, and then I'll drop this in and be like, you know what, you were right this whole time. The color really changes the taste. That'll get me out of the doghouse.
Ryan, you haven't been doing the dishes. That's why your favorite glassware is not ready on Saturday. When you drink it on Friday, you're sitting around here freeloading. And then you pull that out.
I'm glad I can come up with a scheme with you on the podcast, because not even my wife listens to this podcast, so so we can freely come up with these plans.
This is a safe space, Ryan.
So Drew, I saw you shared the news on the Instagram feed, but you got your 200th plate at the Saucer.
Indeed, yes, I did.
How long did that take you?
It doesn't matter. It just matters that you get to the end goal. I may have started my flying saucer quest in 2005.
18 years. That may make it feel even better than if you would have just like smoked through it in like 1 year. You really earned this one.
I think such an occasion deserves a dedicated podcast episode. So I want to just give a little preview to the listeners that we are going to do a feature episode on the Flying Saucer, and it's coming up real soon. And we got some awesome special guests coming on. You don't want to miss it.
How's that for a teaser?
Well, loyal listeners, I think you've had enough of our experiments today. We have, without a doubt, proven that color makes a difference on your beer. And so our recommendation to you is leave the food coloring out of your freaking beer and drink it as God intended, just straight from the draft. So, Ryan, would you like to close this out?
Well, we answered the question that nobody asked, Drew, which seems to be a common theme with the podcast. But don't color your beer. Just drink it the way it was made. And especially don't color it green, because apparently that's the worst offender of all of them. So when you're out celebrating St. Patrick's Day, forego the green beer. And when you go out the weekend after and they're doing a fire sale on their green beer because they couldn't get rid of all of it, pass on it then too, because it's still not worth it. That's all I got to say, Drew.
Salante. This has been a Beering Ain't Easy production out of Houston, Texas. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook or at our website at crossthestreamsmedia.com, where you can find our podcast and all the other great sister podcasts on our network.
This has been a Cross the Streams Media Podcast.
God, how much of a mind fuck would that be? You take 2 yellow beers, do the food coloring, make them red and green, and then you mix them together and it goes back to yellow.
Goes back to yellow. Whoa.